Hi, this is János, Real World Audio, and we are continuing our driver fitting, putting the Cube Audio Fc8 drivers in the cabinet. So as you see, I have cleaned up the cuts, and I used the sanding paper to sand them down, and also what I haven't shown yet, it took a lot of time, use the knife to cut the undersides here. So that's because the edges you see here are very abrupt. There's that 90 degrees angle, and that's all right because the driver will sit here, so that will be flush mounted. But there, when the air pressure it hits the sides and then it goes up there, we don't want an edge down there. So there, as you see, I have shaved off the corners, so it's not a sharp 90 degrees bend, but it's beveled. So I use this utility knife of, now I have some stuck on it, use the utility knife to shave all the edges, and when I was done I used sanding paper. This is some 100 grit sandpaper, and sand it down everything. You don't need to sand it with anything smoother. Don't make these insides super smooth, because that's just going to help to reflect back the very high frequencies. And if it stays a little rough, maybe there are some burrs like that there, or some unevenness, that's absolutely perfect. It's going to prevent very high frequencies from oscillating inside the cabinet, which you don't want. And if the corners are not perfectly the same, that's even better, because if they are exactly the same, then they will have resonances at the exact same frequency. If it's a little bit off, then it will not have such a uniform effect on the sound. It will do a little smearing, but then you would say, okay, one cabinet will behave different than the other, and you are absolutely right for that, but we can correct for that. Later I will show you the tweak how you can fight that unevenness in the cabinet, which is also caused by knots in the wood. So when you have these knots, then there's a very powerful and cheap tool that we can use to combat it, but that's not the topic of this video now. However, as you remember, I had the trash bags there. Now I took them out. That's how they look like, and look, it stayed so clean on the inside. And I already fitted the driver in here, and over there at the corners I used the marker to pick to mount the mounting. I used this L tool to make sure that they are level and I don't put them in crooked, and then use the drilled in pilot holes for the screws, and the screws will be these guys. These are brass screws. They are non-magnetic, nice brass, not made of iron, made of brass, and that's very important because it's not going to interact with the magnet. So the magnetic field of the magnet is not going to tug on the brass screw, so it will be just happy to play a support role instead of playing a player in the magnetic storm. So that's what I'm going to do now. I have the pilot holes here. I'm going to drill the pilot holes there now. Of course, I'm going to remove the drivers first and then pilot the holes. You don't want to drill on through the driver, especially like, let's say, like screws hanging here. One might fall off, damage your driver. It's a nice way to kill your driver. It's just one free lesson for you. If you are doing this with your driver, mark the holes first, then remove it, and then work on the wood. Yeah, you have less chance of damaging it. And when that's done, I'm going to hook up the internal connectors, and then that's it. Basically, after that they will be ready to fire up and run. So thank you for tuning in. and for joining me on this fun adventure on changing the drivers. And look at that, it just looks fantastic in the pipe. So thank you, please like, subscribe, bye bye.